the battle of two dynamic style youngsters, one of them the youngest 2800 ever and the other the youngest, one of the youngest grandmasters ever. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the second round of the Sinquefield Cup, where Alireza FIROUZJA takes on Nodirbek Abdusattorov from Uzbekistan, 19 years old and world number 7, who became grandmaster at the age of 13 and 1 month. They are in the same generation. Their overall result is favoring Alireza. Alireza has 2 wins in classical and couple of draws. Their draws is back to when there were youngsters like 2012, 2015 in youth World Chess Championships. So let's see what happens in this game. Crazy game still we have on the second round. Alireza again with the black pieces. I really tried to analyze this game in deep and to understand reason behind these moves, to explain for you guys so we can learn a lot of things in a nutshell and in a short time. Make sure to put in the comment what you have learned. I'm going to show you Alireza's card just for your information with the player's age and world ranking in this tournament. Of course, he has won his first round against Fabiano, and this is the standings after the round 1. Going to this round, Alireza is leading the tournament. Okay, let's jump right into the action. 2 hours for both players plus 30 seconds. That's it. Let's see what happened. Okay, Abdusattorov, last time he played d4 against Alireza, and it was a Slav defense, and Alireza won that game. So this time he decided to play e4. Alireza, like yesterday against Fabiano, he decided to go e4, e5, knight f3, knight c6, and this time Abdusattorov decided to go for Spanish and not Italian like Fabiano yesterday. Alireza's response doesn't change. Knight f6, Berlin defense. Yesterday or also against bishop c4 he played knight f6, and now this is called Berlin. Yesterday it was 2 knight defense. In this position, Abdusattorov was not interested to go to the Berlin endgame. No boring stuff. d3, anti-Berlin. No Berlin. Here you have 2 choices. You can go bishop c5, which is the main line, and go castle. I mean the line, normal lines, or d6, g6. Alireza decided to go bishop to c5 here, and in this position we have 3 main moves. One is to take on c6, one c3, and one to go short castle. Taking and c3, they are mostly played and more famous, but he decided to go castle and allowing knight d4, which is a more solid line for white. And when you allow this, then this pawn on c6 gets free, and you have chances to get d5 at some point. We have this position on the board, and in this position Abdusattorov plays a move that you may think, okay, he's just wasting time, what is he doing? But actually he analyzed this position. They understand the position that black at some point needs to play c6, and you don't lose a time. Actually, this bishop was exposed. This bishop normally goes to b3 from c4 or a4. Doesn't make any difference. As we will see, there are transpositions in this line. So Alireza plays pawn to c6 anyways, pawn to c3, attacking the bishop. When a piece is in your territory, you gotta kick it out. Knight to a3. In this position, they tell you don't put knight on the rim, but there is no difference. It could come to c4 from this way or from this way. There is no difference because you have an objective, you have a plan. Alireza played d6, and in this position, Abdusattorov played bishop to b3. You can see that he's just playing with these 2 pieces and not caring about this, because he doesn't want to show his cards where he wants to put this bishop. I mean, these are all analyzed, and he's just improving these 2 pieces. And in this position, Alireza plays pawn to a5 with the idea that after knight c4 he wants to keep this bishop on this diagonal. For your information also, in this position Alireza has played this with white, and Report played queen e7 here. I want to show you why black should not waste time here and really should be concerned about this bishop on this diagonal. For example, if you play queen e7 as Report played, Alireza played knight c4 in candidates in Madrid, and after bishop g4, queen e1, and after bishop c5 here Alireza played king h1, and Alireza could get that f4. I mean, I think the position was like this, b5, and if you're wasting time with queen e7 and sometimes h6, here in such positions there are some tactics like this, and knight takes e5 and then d4, and Alireza got a very good position out of the opening, so you should not waste time. And in this position Alireza played the main move a5, and in this position Abdusattorov played a very suspicious move to me. I mean, mysterious move. Of course, he analyzed this position. He said in the interview that he didn't know what is Alireza going to play. He plays Najdorf as well. So he had maybe he mixed up his lines. I don't know, but computers nowadays sometimes they say a move is bad, but they analyze it deeper and deeper. He wanted something that I didn't understand why. It just looks like you're wasting a time, because most of the time bishop comes to g4 and you gotta go to e1. It's kind of neutral move that you're just allowing a4. Main line here of course is knight c4 and bishop a7. Actually this transposes to Alireza's game against Gukeshin candidates. Gukesh played knight e3, Alireza went castle, queen f3 and d5. Alireza got a good position out of the opening, and also Aronian beat Magnus in this position with black pieces in Olympiad, I think. Magnus played a4, Aronian went castle, bishop g5, h6 and took and take on a5, but Magnus didn't know that in that position d5 is just better for black, and he lost that game. Aronian beat him very convinced, in a very nice way. Sorry about that. So a5, and he played queen e2. He allowed a4, bishop c2, and now in this position Alireza played pawn to h6. It's a very interesting move. Probably he didn't want to go to sharp battle against Abdusattorov, going castle, allowing bishop g5, and then you have to go for this ideas. He knew all of these ideas because he had a game against one of the Chinese grandmaster, Yu Yangyi, I think, Alireza, in online tournaments. It was something like this, that it happens a lot. Anand has a game as well. In such positions you can play like this because there's no knight on f3 to take on g5. So, but anyways, maybe he wanted to get out of his preparation. He played h6 to stop bishop g5. But now there is a problem here. Knight c4, and after bishop a7, Abdusattorov in interview said he was happy about that he see bishop a7, but his take was not that correct, because bishop a7 is fine here. Actually, the move h6 was not fine. He said, okay, I knew in some lines bishop on a7 is not good. Bishop should go to c7 and guard d6, e5. But here he didn't. And here he played d4, which looks like a pawn blunder, but it's not actually. I will tell you what was the more interesting move. Here, after d4, you cannot take because bishop f4 and this knight is jumping to d6. And if you go castle here, even if you try to kick it out, white's position is favorable. So in this position, he played d4, and Alireza played bishop to g4 here. The best move, the best idea here is all about f4 here. He had to go for king h1 and f4. When white gets this f4 in, he has favorable position. That's why this h6 was a bit of waste of time, and in such position, you gotta play best move is h5, which is very tough. g5 to stop f4, and suddenly this b3 comes in. Also, you can start with b5 and then you go g5. This is better. And b3, and you have to know about a3, bishop d2, and white can say, okay, you pushed a lot of pawns and try to play this position. But when you play d4, then things are more clear for black. Things are more clear, and Alireza played bishop g4 here, which was not the best move, but it was completely natural move. Computer wanted just queen e7 or queen c7. Just wait and see. Okay, when they play d4, then f4 is going to be so hard. The pawn on d4 is still hanging. For example, if you gotta play this and b5 now. Probably Alireza didn't like the fact that letting this knight to b6, but he had bishop g4 and rook b8 and queen f2, bishop e6. Black is completely fine here actually. So he decided to go bishop g4. Abdusattorov, of course, he doesn't play f3 because cd, and if you take, you lose the queen. So he played queen to d3. And in this position, Alireza kicks out the knight, knight d3, bishop e6. And in this position, Abdusattorov thinks for about How many minutes? For 5 minutes, and he plays this move d5 here, which looks a good move. You are creating weaknesses for black in this position, but it's a bit soon to my eyes. I mean, you are not still developing these pieces. The best move here, to me, it was knight f5. Maybe he didn't even consider it, maybe, or he considered and he didn't like maybe this line, d5. Yeah, because you really don't have good square for this bishop in these positions. If you to take, I sack all of the pawns over the king, and in this position I can go king to d7. Yeah, I wanted to say that nowadays castling is just a move, it's just an option. You have to understand the concept of castling rather than memorizing it. King should be safe. It can be safe in the center as well, and suddenly white is in danger actually. If you play bishop g5, knight g4, and I'm trying to attack the king actually. Okay, he plays d5, and in this position, of course, you have two options: taking on e3, which was my favorite, or taking on d5. There's a took on d5 here. Taking on e3 also was very nice, with the idea taking on e6, and you have to come back to c5. Abdusattorov in the interview was showing this, but this is of course better for white with these weaknesses. You need that bishop on c5. You need that. Okay, if you take on a3, I just take on b5, d5, and I'm fine. You take on e6, bishop c5, takes, and I like this position because bishop e3 and queen e7. I was streaming and I was liking this analysis. But okay, I just decided to take. You cannot take on b5 because of bishop d5 here, and knight d5 here. So in this position, Alireza took a lot of time. This next couple of moves, 1-2 moves, is the critical position of the game. Players took most of their time, and in this position, Alireza thought a lot here, and he played bishop to d7 to just guard the pawn. I mean, of course, in this position, it's not easy practically. I mean, you have weaknesses, and you want to guard your weaknesses, and the problem is if you take the pawn, if you take the knight on d5, there is queen b5 check in between move. But this was a good line for black, because after queen d7, take, and king e7, suddenly, I mean, development for white is not easy. After bishop e3, I can go here, and I'm trying to play a3 in, and you have a lot of, I mean, your pawn structure is weak. And also, if that was one of the best ways to play, but this is not good. Queen b5, queen d7, here, and if take, there is no knight d5 because of bishop e4. So, but the best move here in this position was apparently queen to d7, guarding it and not caring about double pawns. And after bishop e3, or rook d1 actually, attacking this pawn, you can guard this like Sicilian stuff. Guard this with the king, or just go rook g8 actually. I mean, this shows the disastrous position of these pieces actually, like king e7, you come back, h5. I mean, where do you want to put this bishop? Black's position is just very enjoyable to play, even you're down a pawn. This bishop is so powerful. So he decided to go bishop d7, and here Abdusattorov played bishop to e3, which looks like a very natural move to me. Also, it looked very annoying as well, but it was not the best move. Doesn't put the most pressure, because you want to keep the pieces on the board. If black manages to exchange all of these minor pieces, even though I have a lot of weaknesses, it doesn't matter. I can counterattack, I can create weaknesses, as we will see. Knight b4 computer wanted, but it was not an easy move. I just can go bishop c5, bishop e3. I mean, I can just go castle, but computer just wanted to keep the pieces on the board. He played bishop e3, and here Alireza thinks a lot here, about 20 minutes. Also, he thought 25 minutes on this move. And here Alireza played the move that I didn't understand. He played pawn to a3. Okay, there are some lines here. I mean, of course, the main move is main move is this, but after takes, both pawns are under attack, and computers were just saying, okay, you just go castle, you sack all two pawns, and here you get a3 in, b3, and then you just play rook c8. This, you make this bishop bad, limited, and you just attack his pawn structure, even though you're down 2 pawns, or just queen b6 attacking this here. I don't know, just queen c7. The queen is weird. We have a lot of activity, very solid on the king side. Alireza didn't like it, and I don't know. If you take on e3, okay, it's not logical. You give him a lot of options. That's not logical. Let him take. And of course, if you take with the pawn, there is f5 and black is better. Knight d5, you cannot take on a7 because of knight f4. But he didn't like to take it because of queen d5. And you don't have a lot of options other than that. So he decided to play this pawn to a3 to try to ruin his pawn structure. And if you play b3, at least I limited this bishop. Also, another move here is to go castle. Which looks the most natural move in this position, but I don't know what he didn't like about it. I'm thinking about it now. So I mean, knight f6 takes, and it looks you have weaknesses here, but it's really not an issue. You can guard it and stuff like that. I'm forgetting some lines here, but he gets that a3, and Abdusattorov plays a very interesting move here. He just ignores it and just plays bishop b3, because if you push or take, he was showing this line in the interview that, of course, even if you are up 1,000 pawns here, you don't want this pawn structure. So he played bishop to b3, sacking temporarily this pawn, and Alireza just helped this bishop to be better. But okay, he ruined his pawn structure, and he always got 2 targets as well. And after rook b1, Alireza finally went castle, rook b2, bishop to c6. Now the idea is to exchange all the minor pieces. But Abdusattorov exchanges 2 of them. He plays rook queen a3 first, attacking the rook. I guard the rook. If you go here, rook b6, and he exchange the knights. He keeps the bishops, and in this position it looks like a draw, but it's practically, it's not that easy. But you have to be against computers. Computers would definitely beat humans in this position, I'm sure. There are tricks with c4 and creating passed pawn, actually. But Alireza managed to neutralize them. Rook d1 here. There was an interesting idea here. Like, I mean, you should always, if you don't understand the position, you have to say, what strategically should I do? You should exchange these 2 bishops and you're fine. For example, after rook d2, there was this, you have this plan, main plan of the position, rook bishop d7, and you want to go bishop to e6 and exchange everything. And here, after rook d5, there are some problems for you. You cannot take the pawn on b5. And if you go to rook to b8, you can go here, and you don't have bishop e6. And if you go here, he attacks here. Again, doesn't allow you to go bishop e6 here, and now queen d2. And finally, you lose this pawn, but computers wanted like this endgame, this rook endgame I can exchange, and it's a draw. So he played rook d1, Alireza played rook c8. The best defense is active defense, counter-attacking on the pawns rather than playing rook d8. A lot of players will play this move and stay passive, and you could lose that game. Rook c8, c4, trying to liquidize his weakness. Alireza takes, bishop c4, rook a4, attacking the bishop, attacking the pawn on a4. And here Abdusattorov defended with the rook, bishop d7 here. And this is the final touch of Abdusattorov kind of. Computers would have played rook queen to b3, attacking the rook, attacking f7, still putting pressure, but rook a5, the computers would really try hard to go rook c3, rook f3, put pressure, but there is bishop g4, rook c1, and we just put pressure on this pawn. Just it should not start moving, and that's it. It should be a draw. You can play bishop e6 at some point. Abdusattorov played queen c1. He thought, okay, he has everything under control, but you can pause the video and find the move that kills the game here. Just draws the game immediately. This is queen to f4. Queen to f4, you cannot move the queen. because the bishop is hanging. Abdusatorov was shocked. Probably he allowed bishop f7, but it doesn't matter, as we will see. Queen takes f7, takes king h7, and you cannot defend this pawn, because if you take here, I take, and you're getting mated. You suddenly lose. So he played f3, rook a2. Even if you exchange queen, that rook endgame is just a draw. And h3, queen hg6, takes. Alireza played rook a6 to guard the pawn. And this position, they just drew by finding a repetition in 46 moves. So with this draw, Alireza keeps his lead. This is the final standing of the, not the final standing, the standings after round 2. So tonight, Alireza is going to play against Maxime Vachier-Lagrave with the white pieces. Don't forget to click the sub button if you like my recaps. I hope you guys learned something. Make sure to put in the comments what you have learned and like the video. And see you guys in the next video. Thank you guys for watching. That was a very interesting games. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Salut, ciao, ciao.